What I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
In breaking news out of the US, a federal judge has dismissed the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey. His criminal charges were dismissed on the grounds the interim US attorney who secured his indictment was unlawfully appointed to the role. Mr. Comey has maintained his position was retaliatory and motivated by President Trump's efforts to punish his political enemies. The judge also dismissed a case against New York Attorney General Letitia James.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent. I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant.
Also missed the point that if you actually did live in a fascist dictatorship, which they think they do, you wouldn't be able to produce that video. You wouldn't be able to post it all over social media and get mainstream media coverage. And much of the mainstream media coverage has been positive for those Democrats. What do you say to the likes of, say, Jake Tapper, who has joined them in suggesting that members of the military are in danger of committing crimes by following illegal orders? He also mentioned Nuremberg and Vietnam. He seems to be mirroring the same arguments and putting this suggestion that the US military right now is committing some sort of war crimes or illegal acts.
Yeah, look, Jake Tapper is a quintessential Trump deranged syndrome left-wing commentator here in the United States. This is someone who once upon a time was maybe center-left. Jake Tapper once upon a time was not quite as far left as let's call it a Mehdi Hassan or a joyless Joy Reid or someone like that there. But Jake Tapper drank the TDS Kool-Aid with every ounce of what the TDS Kool-Aid consists of. And at this point, he's basically indistinguishable from that. It's sad because Jake is a man who really ought to know better. But if Jake didn't know better, then what he would realize is that the actual crime that could happen here is if you were in the chain of command and you simply do not follow the chain of command. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I did not serve in the U.S. Armed Forces, but literally all my veteran friends who did emphasized time and time again that the chain of command from the commander-in-chief to the chairman of Joint Chiefs, the generals, all the way on down, this is how the military functions, and you play with absolute fire when you start to play with that. If there is an order that you are ordered to do that for whatever reason you genuinely feel like you cannot do, there are remedies available for you. You can seek a court-martial, you can go to a military court, we have military law, military tribunals. There are various options to you. What you cannot do is to just say, oh, my hands are tied because you are illegal. You are not in a position to do that. We have military judges do that there. If Jake Tapper knew a damn thing about the law, then he would know that.
Now let's talk about California. Who's going to take over the reins from Gavin Newsom? It's going to be a Democrat. We know that. It's a one-party state. We've had the front-runner, Katie Get Out of My Shot Porter.
State could lose. Get out of my shot.
She imploded a few weeks back during a friendly CBS interview. It was quite an extraordinary performance. And we've got another big name contender, Josh Eric Swalwell. He has some bold ideas of his own.
I want us to be able to vote by phone. I think every Californian vote by phone. Yeah, if we can do our taxes, do our make our healthcare appointments, make essentially do your banking online, you should be able to vote by phone.
Josh, could it work? I've heard dumber ideas, maybe not today, but I've certainly heard dumber ideas. Could Americans cast their vote on their phone?
Rita, Eric Swalwell is someone whose IQ is 1.5 standard deviations below the mean on a good day. On a worse day, it happens to be worse than that. He's also quite possibly a Chinese spy. Let's not forget the whole affair Fang Fang. Yeah, Fang Fang is a name that many of us here have not forgotten. This was the Chinese honeypot that Eric Swalwell was found to be romantically involved with a number of years ago, and that has stuck with many of us ever since then. He has never offered a square explanation for that entire scandal. I have no idea what the heck Eric Swalwell thinks that he has accomplished to put him in a position to run for governor of the most populous state in the country. But then again, ditto Katie Porter, and frankly, ditto virtually all these other candidates who are putting their hat into the ring. As far as notion of voting by phone, frankly, I think that America's elections are insecure enough as it is. I would not be one to necessarily want to add an additional layer of insecurity. I think that there are enough legitimate concerns, and if you look at the polls, there are enough people who say that they do not necessarily fully trust that their votes are going to be cast and tabulated there. I mean, what could possibly go wrong by relying on AT&T and Verizon and the various mobile cell phone providers to cast your vote? I mean, I can think of approximately 1 million to 2 million things that could possibly go wrong with that picture there. So no, that strikes me as yet another quintessentially really, really stupid Eric Swalwell idea, which again is par for the course because he's a pretty dumb man, as the case may be.
I just can't believe he's in the running. You would think the entire Fang Fang affair, the fact that he was in a serious relationship with a Chinese Communist Party spy, would disqualify you from any sort of public office for life. But no, here he is. He's still wanting to be governor of California. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said earlier today that he was very optimistic that negotiators could reach a deal to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Rubio had met today with a delegation from Kiev in Geneva, and he said the issues that must be resolved were not insurmountable. Now, I want to hear from President Trump. He's got a 28-point proposal, but he has a number of provisions that Ukraine has previously rejected.
We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. So well, then he can continue to fight his little heart out.
Josh, he said if President Zelensky rejects the plan, then he can continue to fight his little heart out, and he wants an answer from Kiev by Thursday.
Yeah, look, so based on what I've seen from this plan, Rita, the broad outlines of it are something that I could see myself getting behind. There's one thing that I'm less confident of, but Ukraine's going to have to give up territory. Okay, I've been saying that bluntly for at least 2 years now. Many of us have been saying that bluntly for years now. Ukraine is not going to gain back territory. To this day, no one has put a credible plan on the table to show how Ukraine is going to, in a post-war world, how you can convince Russia to simply give up territory that it has actually acquired over the past couple of years. So that to me seems like a non-starter. You have the typical hacks in the left-wing media, the New York Times, MSNBC, the hardcore Slava Ukraine crowd. They're all saying, oh my God, this is a Putin plan. They're giving away. Oh, no, I mean, Trump is a realist. He lives in reality. So that is what's going on here when it comes to some territorial concessions from Ukraine in the eastern Ukraine region of the Donbass, the Crimean Peninsula, and so forth. The part of the plan that I am not certain of yet, and it's going to depend on the details, is this NATO Article 5 style security guarantee. Now, the part that I think I could be willing to get behind personally is that, if I understand it correctly, there is a 10-year time limit on it for now. It's not a perpetuity commitment, if I understand it correctly, similar to NATO Article 5. However, if Russia were to actually then invade in the next 10 years, which they probably wouldn't, to be clear, if that guarantee were in place, but if they would there, then you're committing U.S. troops, British troops, French troops. I mean, that's potentially a very serious thing there, right? So I would like to hear more details about that before I offer it my enthusiastic support. But based on what I can see right now, I think that is clever, and it does, broadly speaking, map out with what I've been thinking a possible peace deal could look like for the past couple of years now.
Now let's talk about the Epstein files, and House Republicans, including James Comey, have ordered Bill and Hillary Clinton to testify next month about their ties to the convicted pedophile. And he was a staunch Democrat as well, Jeffrey Epstein, we forget that. Josh, the Clintons' legal team has earlier this month said their clients were willing to make a written statement. What are the chances that they will actually appear and testify in person?
Oh, I think close to zero. I think they're going to plead the fifth until eternity, frankly, on this one. I don't think Slick Willie wants anything near a microphone when it comes to ask point blank, why were you on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, the Leavitt Express, over 30 times? I don't think Bill Clinton will get anywhere near a microphone. Hillary Clinton has been making some of the media rounds here recently for God knows what reasons. I don't really know exactly what she's trying to do other than to maybe grift to get another multi-million-dollar book deal or something like that. But maybe there's a world in which Hillary could appear before the microphone because she just has an utterly insatiable appetite, even at this late stage of her feckless career, to sit before the cameras and preen. But I put the odds there pretty low as well, to be honest with you. I think they will plead the fifth. They will do some statement there. But your broader point is important. Jeffrey Epstein was a hardcore Democrat. He was a hardcore Democrat. He hated Trump, by the way. That's why he was texting Stacey Plaskett, the U.S. Virgin Islands congresswoman, during that 2019 Michael Cohen hearing. He was literally texting her, get Trump talking points in real time. He despised Donald Trump because Donald Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, because Donald Trump became a very successful person without getting involved in horrific pedophilia and child sex trafficking operations, unlike Jeffrey Epstein there. So he was a hardcore Democrat there. And frankly, if Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and Ro Khanna, all these Democrats, had a morsel, an ounce of intellectual consistency there, they would be asking all of the questions 10 times as much when it comes to Bill Clinton as they are with respect to Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And Michael Wolff was also a vehement anti-Trumper. He said in a recent interview that Jeffrey Epstein believed that Donald Trump may have been the one who first alerted authorities to what was happening at his property, and he hated him ever since. So this whole narrative and the fact that he chucked him out of Mar-a-Lago back in 2008. But you mentioned Hillary Clinton. She does have an insatiable appetite for attention, and she did another appearance and she explained that she's been daydreaming about a goodbye Trump announcement.
You know what this reminds me of is I wish that there could be like a huge national sound system. And we would all wake up and they'd say, attention, attention, we have found the problem and we have solved it. He is gone.
She is still around, but is she still a force to be reckoned with? We hear from her a lot. We don't hear much from Bill Clinton these days. Why are these appearances happening? Do the Democrats think she still has some sway with the American electorate?
It's a very good question. I don't claim to fully understand the phenomenon myself. I've been subjected to the various tortures of watching the Clinton crime family do these interviews for my entire adult life, Rita, and I can't get them off my TV screen quickly enough. I suspect that there are many folks here in the United States who feel the same way that I do. Now, the Clintons were a famously moderate Democratic family. They have moved considerably far to the left as the party has moved further and further to the left just to try to fit in with the times. They must clearly think that Hillary offers something, I guess, superstar power, if nothing else there. I mean, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, I suppose to this day, are the two most famous Democrats alive, right? I mean, I'm not sure who else would be. It's definitely not Joe Biden, that's for sure. So, I mean, those are the two who I guess still offer some semblance of quote unquote star power, but look, Rita, I mean, the Clintons have been dealing with crimes here for almost a half century, literally going back to Whitewater in Arkansas in the late 1970s. I mean, there are so many skeletons in that family's closet. And I think as the American people especially start talking about Epstein a little more, a lot of this Clinton-related Epstein drama is going to start to percolate more and more to the surface there. So maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm a little Pollyanna-ish, let's say, but I think that there's a chance that the Epstein thing coming as front and center as it is about to come here in the United States could lead to Hillary entering stage left, and boy, could that not come soon and quickly enough.
That could just be wishful thinking there, Josh, but we'll watch and see. Josh Hammer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rita.